Hi everyone, it's Evelyn from Twin Flames 3344. I have a union read for you. It is very detailed, amazing messages coming through. My father came through today in a very literal way that I've never experienced before and gave me many messages while he was doing it. So I hope you stay tuned because there's so much stuff in here that just needs to be passed on to others. Please make sure to share. Thank you guys all for all of your likes and shares and subscribes and your comments. But please do share this information. We help most by expanding ourselves, but then others as well, to send our messages out so that they can expand even further. So any of you who can help me with that, I appreciate it. And of course, if you should like to meet with me for any coaching or even just a card read, whatever you'd like, all my services are below in the details box. My site is twinflames3344.com, as well as the email at gmail.com. So I'm going to get right into it because there's a lot of details here. Please, it's 111. I hope you guys can follow me. There's a lot of coded details that came through today, and I'm going to take you through my journey on that. So I hope you can follow. Maybe I'll put up the picture of the one page where I got a lot of details as far as coding and numbers and matching and all that kind of stuff. It is February 26th today, 2019. The 26th is the Page of Wands, the Divine Masculine's inner child, and the day adds up to 40, the Page of Cups, the Divine Feminine's inner child. And today, when I went into my inner children, mine and my twins, I couldn't see anything, and I just started rocking, and then I see the two babies in a bassinet together in the center. So it was really beautiful, actually. So we have the 26 of an 8, and the 40 is a 4 of the Page of Wands and the Page of Cups, the Divine Masculine, Divine Feminine, as I had expressed before, that's how I see them in their inner children. Yesterday, because I had to take my daughter to the airport to go home, I was up at like 4:30 in the morning yesterday, so I had gotten like 4 hours of sleep, and I was a zombie most of yesterday. And then I watched a movie called Shelter last night, and boy did I cry at the end of that. That was a big purge for me. But it's a really beautiful movie. If you haven't seen it, you might want to watch it, especially if you want to release. But it was really good. So, something I got before I actually started putting out the read was Weathering the Storm. And when I went outside to ground, I looked, there were like, plane engine clouds everywhere, but they were the clouds, there was like stripes. It wasn't, the way the clouds usually look. There was just these stripes of clouds every which way, in kind of a certain formation. And then as I started writing, a little flea, oh, I just got flea, fly, flow again. I don't know if it was a flea, but one of those tiny little gnat type bugs landed right on my notebook where I was writing, which I never usually see that kind of bug in my house, and I took him out on my book. I took him outside at that point. But that was very interesting, like a fly on the wall. Okay, oh, and the babies in the bassinet that I told you about, the inner children, I was also getting 2 peas in a pod when I got that. And that was at 10:47. Then, my twin flame friend called me because she was purging to one of my songs that came up on her on her shuffle. And then that was a whole nother another avenue that we went down. But she brought up A Star Is Born because she was excited to see the Oscars and see them sing together, which I then watched on a video online with Lady Gaga and Brad Cooper, and Bradley Cooper happens to be from my area. He's from like one town over. I just got something else from our conversation. I'm just trying to make sure there's nothing there that I want to pass on to you guys. And something came up too for us in our conversation, which was evergreen. And evergreen is in my song Christo Sophia, Christ O Sophia. So if you want to check that out, that is still up in my videos. I believe the tag is an angel inside my window when it snowed out. So it's really beautiful. But you might want to listen to those words today because it came up. And that was written on July 21st, 2018. So if that date is significant to you, you really might want to go watch the song to hear the lyrics. I have not published it yet, so I haven't gone into the studio or anything. So, all right. So the read for the union was done at 11:37 today. 37 is the King of Cups. The major arcana were the Abundance card, which in the Syrian Starseed deck is Empress, Luna, which is the moon, Ascension, which is the world, and Hanging Man, which is the hanged man. The card after the read was Higher Self, or the High Priestess. And there's 3 cups, 2 wands, 1 sword, 1 pentacle. So mostly cups. The only court card was no court cards except for the 9 of Pentacles, which I do deem as a court card at times. And then the card before the read was the Knight of Cups. So that court card was there. It just wasn't in the main read, but it was the card underneath the underlying energy, which I do use in the read. So just the 9 of Pentacles and the Knight of Cups. And that often comes off as the 9 of Pentacles as the sovereign divine feminine and the Knight of Cups as the masculine. So the cards that came up in my phone call with my friend, Trust came up. And Trust came up as one of the cards as well, so that was important. The numbers that came up in the coding there was no double numbers today, well, except for the 30 to 11 came up. But the only number that was in the codes was 6, so love. And actually the love card came up today as well. And the numbers just came up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9, 10. And it was really bringing up all about today the space between the words. Okay? So in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, the missing numbers were what was important, the space between the words, the numbers 8 and the numbers 1 and 2, which took me on a whole tangent, which I'm going to get into in a second. Okay, and if you notice, 1 and 2 are the masculine and the feminine, and then 8 is 0 point. And then we also have 12 and 8. So you might want to get a pen and write down some of this stuff as I say it, so you can get the whole gist of as I expand on it. The coding was all about compassion and effort today. The space between the words, what wasn't said, was protecting you from them. And then I got then they all rolled over and one fell out. There were 9 in the bed and the little one said, roll over, roll over. So I got that, but it was all, that brought me back to what I got yesterday with the ants go marching 2 by 2. Hurrah, hurrah. So I was going back to 1 and 2 because they all rolled over and one fell out is the same words for every verse. It was just, it just changes number. It goes 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It was just 9, 11, which also comes up in the read today. So, okay, listen on. So for the ants go marching on, the 1 sucks his thumb and the 2 ties his shoe. The 8 shuts the gate. Okay? The 1 sucks his thumb. All right, so let him have his banky. Let you have your banky. Let yourself be your inner child. Give love to yourself. Sometimes you just need a cuddle, right? And then ties his shoes, you know, put your shoes on and close the gate behind you. And then I was just getting Linus too for the blankie. Okay. And then I'm getting, there was a doctor that I knew where I worked at Penn. His name is Abbas Alavi, one of the doctors I worked with in radiology. And he came up in my coding. But as well, just emphasizing that 6 of love, and then Sophia 9, S9, which is the feminine collective consciousness, the wise one, okay? The hermit, the S9, but the feminine hermit is coming up in conjunction with the Luna, the moon, and the divine feminine. And also Abba came up, so that might be significant for someone. That was just random. And then SS, the SS Minnow came up with the skipper and the little guy. Like Gilligan was always the little guy. It was always the skipper, right? Was the one who knew everything, right? As far as the skipper was concerned. And then Gilligan, who was the star of the show, was just the little guy, right? And remember, it was Gilligan's Island. No man is an island, right? So as we get the SS Minnow, Spirit's connecting with me, it's really about the SS 9, all right? The collective consciousness, the Sophia 9, the wise one, the hermit. And then I was getting the I, small I, and X for the 9, because the Sirian Starseed deck uses all small I's for some reason. So I was getting today IX, I feminine, right? And then Lu was coming from Luna. Lu was coming up as the shadow aspect of Una, which is 1, and then also Neve. Is it Neve? I can't remember. What's the show? You know, finding out if the people online are you know, you're connecting with are for real or not. I'm just blanking out on the name, but you know who I'm talking about. That was coming up, and identity theft was coming up. Okay, the shadow around the feminine and how she reflects back to the masculine to help each other flesh out, you know, the negative stuff, like identity theft, right? Or anything that's negative happening between you, or any false identity that you are giving to each other, right? The mask that the masculine wears. And what are you wearing? So then my song came up, right? Christ, O Sophia. And I was getting to look at the codes. So when I looked at my coding, I was looking at the spaces between the words and seeing what letters came up. And that led me to the reason why I went back to Christ, O Sophia, was because the letters that came up in my coding were S, C, S-A-E. And for me, S-A-E was what I did for a living. It's a serious adverse event, because that's what I used to report. I managed research studies. So I was getting Sophia, Christ, serious adverse event. So I'm like, okay, so where's this taking me? So then it was 12:01 as I turned the page, and I brought the coding along with me to continue. And again, the coding was all about compassion and effort. So make an effort to be compassionate with each other, but also that the coding was about AD test, right? So after death test, the ABCs as Sophia 9, or the feminine collective consciousness, and the moon having to do with the divine feminine, because that's all the feminine energies. And after death test, to relearn as S9 or Sophia 9 that the moon is the shadow, the divine feminine, the mirror of the masculine, of the sun, the reflection, the nothingness. The divine masculine is the catalyst to expand her to everything. She follows his lead. Where you go, I will follow. And then I was getting some other things to bring up as well, but I was getting a lot of E names around me involved with the twin thing, including my friend and her twin flame, all E's. And then I was wondering why 26 kept coming up for me today, because it had been coming up for me recently and then again today. is the 26th, and 26 was coming up. It's 26, you would write it as 26/8, because that's how you write 26 in numerology. You always reduce it to a single digit. And I realized that in numerology, my 4 numbers, they're all double digits, but the basic single digits of my numerology are 2, 38 is my soul number, which is an 11, which is a 2, okay? And my outer personality number is a 6, and my destiny number is 8, so 268. So I was like, ah. And this relates back to all the stuff that's going to expand now. So, after I wrote, where you go, I will follow. For some reason, I wrote down, and I'll show you a pic real quick of, I'm just covering up because I don't want to put names out there, but, hold on one sec. All right. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to show you these pics before I actually explain it to you. Okay? So you can go back and maybe understand what I was saying. Because these are all my notes from just this page. As I wrote, where you go, I will follow. And if you see my name in the notes, it's really relating to the Divine Feminine. It's just the way Spirit translates to me. I was guided to write down a dot. So one dot to the next dot. And then the third dot comes up by the first dot going in front of that, and then the second dot goes here. So you bring up, it's like having the 1 and the 2 of the masculine and feminine, and then the 3 is the third energy, or the trigger, right? The expansion point. So as you go from 1 to 2, then the third dot comes up and triggers 1 over here, and then 2 over here. So it's like a leapfrog effect. Okay, and you can go back on the video and look at the shot of it that I showed you. But if you follow it, it becomes the double helix. Okay, so you have figure 8s, but 2 sets of them together. So then I'm just following my lead. All right, I was getting 2 of the twins, and the 6 is the monad, and then the 8 is infinity, right? Which is where I got the 268 from. So I'm saying, okay, where are you taking me? And I was getting all sorts of codes involved with the 2, 6, and 8 as well. But the 2 is the High Priestess, the 6 is love, and the 8 is strength. And in some decks, it's actually justice, and they switch 8 and 11 sometimes. But the infinite, I was guided back to the infinity. The infinity is 2 S's reflecting each other, overlapping, right? That becomes the 8. So there's all sorts of stuff that goes around that. So the 8 is also S2. It's also the number 52. And if you take 52 and you make it in square blocks, you know, like your clock would do, it's exact. You can't actually reflect it, because no matter which way you reflect it, it comes up the same way. Just like the S and the S. So this is all around the number 8. 52 is the Queen of Swords. And the 8 is infinity, right? And 8 also equals 44. 44 is the mastering number. So what I was getting here was that 44 is infinity on the earthly plane. Like, that's the lower vibration. And you know how he's always saying that 4 is the manifestation, the lower level manifestation where we learn to survive on this planet, and then 8 is the elevated ability to master on this planet, to master your dreams, not just survival. Well, 44 was coming up as the 3D 8, the infinity brought down to earth, to the 3D. So if you take, excuse me, I'm getting excited for myself. If you take the 44 and then you invert them and you put them together, you get the letter H, which is 8. So the 44, it was confirming for me that yes, the 44 is the 8 in the 3D, right? The 4, each 4 is the divine masculine and the divine feminine of stability and structure. Put together is the H, or the 8, because H is the number 8. And if you take apart the letter H, you get 11 over 11 with a line between them, the space between them. You get a T this way and a T this way. You also get the U, the cup. Now remember, we're talking in block letters like you would see on the clock. So the letter U would be like that, and then there's 11 below it. And then also it would be like 11 over pi. And then pi always has that little tail, you know, if it's written the way it's supposed to be written, it has a little tail, which is the connect between the words. That space between the words, the connection. And I was getting also for the 44 and 8, and spirits connecting with me, is Atlas on Earth. The weight of the world upon your shoulders in 3D, because you're very heavy. I was just getting that. All right, so if you're following me, the space between the words is the catalyst, right? The tail, the connection between. Man irritates woman to expand her essence. And then I was getting 16 strand, because 8 and 8 is 16. If you have an 8 for a feminine, 8 and a masculine is 16. Some is at 16. And then I was getting 16 strand, and then it was taking me to the Strand movie theater down the shore in Ocean City, the 16 strand DNA. So is it 16 or is it 8 plus 4 and 12 strand? Then I was getting 1, 2 equals 8 again. Because 1 is the masculine and feminine is the 2 equals 8 of the infinity together. That it's contained. 12 strand equals 2 strands of 8 plus 8 equals 16. 8 plus 8 equals 16. Then I was getting, where did I get them? I was getting in the codes between the numbers. Ah, that's okay. So I was getting Christos Sophia, right? But I was getting then Sophia O Christos. So I was getting Socrates and Ocean City. Oh, Ocean City came up. So the OC came down. And I'm like, oh, that's the OC from Sophia O Christos. So OC is 6, 3 equals 9. And then I was getting the full thing of SOC, and then the reflection of that, which is COS. SOC was coming up Socrates. And COS, first I was getting the numbers. The number values for C, O, and S are 361, which equals 10, which is that high vibration, 361. I just was getting something else too. But it also, the actual numbers, C is 3, O is 15, and S is 19 of the alphabet. And the total number adds up to 37, which is the King of Cups. And then I realized what I was looking at, because I'm thinking Christ O Sophia, or Christ O Sophia for COS. And then I'm looking at it again, and I'm realizing, oh my God, it's my father's nickname, Kos. Now he spells it KOS, but that wasn't the point. They were bringing up my dad. My dad was coming in. And it was coming in with the King of Cups, because my father being my loving father, okay? And then also Socrates was coming up as So-cra-tes. That the masculine is makes Sophia, S-O, right, crazy by teasing her, which is the expansion, okay? Just like the rose and the thorn, there's always a thorn. There's always something there to aggravate it. And I was getting Sophia, Christ, tease, the tease between them. And so here my dad's coming up. And then I wrote down 52 from what I got before from the infinity. The infinity is two S's combined is 8, infinity. But that's also 5-2 in block lettering. And 52 is the Queen of Swords. Expansion of the High Priestess to higher knowledge, wisdom, secrets. So I'm like, then why is, so the opposite, the reflection of 52 is 25, and I'm like, so why is 26 coming up today? Why didn't this come up yesterday? And then if you take the reflection of 52, it's not 25 because the letters aren't turned the right way. It would actually still be 52, okay, if you know what I mean, okay? So if you write 52 down and you write 25, it's not an exact reflection. You have to take the 52 and make it an exact reflection, and then you're still in block lettering going to come up with the same because 5 and 2 look the same both ways, okay? So I was writing them down in block letters. And with the 52, expansion of the High Priestess to higher knowledge, wisdom, and secrets, I was getting, when you draw the 5 and the 2, well, next to each other the other way, doesn't matter which way, and then you merge them together so the lines line up, you end up getting what looks like a TV on a TV stand. Right, so you have a rectangle and then a line below it and then the bottom, which is the stand. That's 5 and 2 together. And if you put multiple 5 and 2s together in a sequence, it becomes 2 strands of alternating DNA. How cool is that? So do it. You'll see it on the page if you look back there. So it's literally alternating strands of DNA, just like what I was showing you with the dots. That's what they were trying to show me, right? The double helix. And then I got later in the read, and I came back to write it, that all we are is just another brick in the wall, which it looks like. If you draw bricks in the wall, you know, they're always alternating, right? The layers are always alternating to make it stronger. And then chain of events. When one is closed, the other is open. So if you draw the 2 strands of DNA, if this strand is closed at the ends because you have the full brick, this strand, both ends are going to be open. Okay, it's like the ion connecting to another ion. You need that connection. Okay. So 26 then comes up as equaling the catalyst, the Page of Wands. The immaturity of the Page of Wands, who's very excited and inspired. He's feisty and inspired. My father, who's very impish. So then I'm getting, if you put 26 together and merge them together, instead of 25, you get the 25 in block lettering, except now where there's a rectangle for the TV, the 26 puts a line through the TV. And then if you circle that line to identify the catalyst, it becomes pi, the circle with a line through it. The space between the words, the line in pi, the diameter. Okay, that's what I'm literally coming up, that's pi. Changing lanes, dimensions, timelines. The catalyst is what causes you to shift. Okay? Interfering in the natural flow of things, the pearl grows with the trigger. So if you paid attention to the video I did the other day with the swan, was it swan? No, the pearls. I don't think it was the same as the swans, but the one with the pearls was about how the pearl is made, and right, you get some dirt or parasite gets into the shell and creates a growth, right? The trigger, the thorn in your side, creates the pearl, that beautiful pearl. The pearl grows. So interfering in the natural flow, the pearl grows. That's the trigger to a miracle, something unforeseen. Okay? So then 1241, the mailman walks up to the box. And 41, and Spirit's connecting with me, 41 is the Ace of Cups, new love. And I wanted to, and they pointed out to me that mailman is male man. He's a male. The mailman arrives and then walks away. But I noticed it was surreal as I was watching him today. He was walking away like a kid, you know, like a little boy would do, like stiff legs, like Frankenstein, being goofy, just because he's just having fun being by himself. He's being stiff and goofy like the Page of Wands little kid. And it was totally surreal for me watching him. So I went out to get the mail, and the first piece of mail said 11410 Northeast 124th Street, which 124 has been coming up over and over again for me, and then number 622. Kirkland, Washington, 98034, from zip code 60999, permit 1105. And then pre-sorted was on there. You know how there's always a stamp? And I couldn't tell if it was S or 8, but it said S or 8 TD. So what that means, it might trigger something for you guys, but that's what you're supposed to allow in to see what triggers you. It was just 3111. 31 is the expansion energy of the 5 of Wands, and then 11 is justice. And then I opened it up, and it was one of those mailings for how to build wealth after age 50, and a special VIP invitation. And inside of it said Target 250, because they were offering, you know, a gift card for first how many other people. But 250 is 25, which we were just talking about, the 25. The gift card to win, right? 25 was the building blocks for the wall, the DNA. And then the phone number prefix was 419, which I kept bringing up, 419, April 19th. The number was 855-419-2322, so if that brings up anything for you. And then an RSVP code came up, 4L6-D8J3. One was at one location and one was another, so I'm not sure what that will show for me, but we'll see if anything comes from that. So then I was definitely getting that the catalyst is just like the thorn on the rose, you know, it's an unexpected, you know, thorn in your side, or you know how I always get like something gets into the spokes of the bike. It's that, you know, toothpick in the spokes of the bike, something that interrupts the natural flow of things. And also something else, the second piece that I got in the mail was from the American Red Cross, which was coming up in another sense as well, and green drop. And also the date, Wednesday, March 6th. So that might be important for someone. And then the time that I looked at right then was 12:52. So here we had 52 again. The building block, the Queen of Swords. When we build muscle at the gym, we traumatize it to expand. But when you stop expanding, you get old and wrinkly. If you expand too much, you explode or leave dimensions of the earthly plane. Stay at 0 point to be healthy and balanced. Expand a little at a time to grow healthy and strong. If wounding is too deep, it takes a long time to heal. That's why it's saying stay close to 0 point, all right? So that those little pricks don't get you too deeply, and then you can bounce right back from them. And then I was getting, as we start into the read more, open arms from Journey at 101. I was getting that the Merkaba points north, slightly east, because northeast keeps coming up. Takeoff. And then I saw the Little Dipper last night when I was looking up at the sky to the North Star. So North Star or Vega is also coming up. And then I was guided to draw the Little and Big Dipper together to see how they align with the North Star. And it was interesting how I drew it, because the North Star was northeast of the Big Dipper point. And then I was getting coming together to see the light in a triangle, the two base coming together to see the light, slightly northeast of the North Star, righting the wrongs of rejection. The Knight of Cups to the Empress, at night emotions coming out as her heart opens more, or more the heart expansion, even more for the feminine right now. His heart grew 3 times that day, you know, referencing from the Grinch. So then at 11:11, I got connection at that point when I was writing this, that the divine feminine is abundance in receiving love. The divine masculine, the after-death test, in offering love. Okay, so someone might have had a near-death experience or some kind of clearing. This is saying, you know, after Jesus rose, this was the test in offering love back to the feminine after the divine feminine opened her heart enough to allow someone to love her. Okay, not just giving love, but receiving love. That's where the feminine's abundance comes from. Reaping comes up as 47, which is the 7 of Cups, and that reflects as 74, which is the 6 of Pentacles, which has been coming up a lot lately. That sharing, right? The 6 of Pentacles and the 7 of Cups, which is the synchronicities, all right? So sharing your downloads with each other, okay? Coming together to share. And then I was getting, so we're reaping the rewards, the 47 and the 74, of all these special gifts that we're each getting to bring them together. And then I was getting the King of Wands, and I was getting Mark, the name Mark, looking in on his slave, the divine masculine. All right, so the King of Wands, Mark, whoever that message is looking in on his slave. So this is someone around the masculine who considers the masculine his slave. So it could be a partner, a father, a brother, a friend, okay, of the divine masculine. Looking in on his slave, the divine masculine, the King of Wands, devil, slave owner. And I was getting Oriental slave owner, horns, 5-pointed star, Dallas, Texas, right? Because the 5-pointed star is coming up as the Dallas Cowboys. When the King of Wands fires up, the divine masculine, his tail goes between his legs, all right? Because he scares him. So this is obviously someone who can trigger him because it's family oriented. So it could be a father or a brother. And then I was getting to, when I wrote down the time, 11:11, I wrote down 11:12. They wanted me to write that down because if you write down 12 with a line on top, it's pi. It's actually without the line. If you take 1 and the 2 connects to the 1, and if you write it a certain way, it's literally pi. 1, 2 is pi. 1 is the masculine, 2 is the feminine. All right, and then it also equals 8, the infinity. Okay, how the divine masculine and the divine feminine always fit together. So then I was getting the devil card came up in XV, which is the 15, and then I was getting the message that the devil energy here is XY, but the Y is missing the forward slash, which is being called the space between. So there's a missing link here for the masculine. This masculine who's treating the divine masculine bad he's missing something in his DNA. Okay, there's a missing link there. The space between the words, the tail, the connection to the next word. Magical coin appears out of thin air. 9 cups all aligned above the emperor's chair. Quite a find. And there's a message here for a certain divine masculine. So if you're listening, divine masculine, I was specifically getting that it may even be a father or uncle or grandfather, but literally there is money or something of value that appears out of thin air. There's 9 of cups all aligned above the emperor's chair. So wherever this person sat, it could be in the ceiling, and I've been getting that a lot, that there's money floating around in the ceiling somewhere. Above the emperor's chair, quite a find. Message for divine masculine. The wizard comes out from behind the curtain. It was him all along, like the Wizard of Oz. You were the apple of his eye. So this is somebody's father coming through, or grandfather, or even an uncle, could be. Twin Peaks is coming up. The emperor in the space between them, the middle of his children. And this is where I was realizing my father was starting to give me messages. And I'd gotten a message from, like a year or 2 ago, I was at a psychic fair and we did a read with someone. And I was getting a message from my grandmother who sewed to just, you have all the pieces, now put the quilt together. So putting the pieces together to gather the information, and then I was getting the gathers were important for me too. That why I always like to do gathers and sewing, because I have a fashion design certification as well in sewing and reaping. Okay, so someone who might like to gather things, like collect things, which I do. I like to collect like picture frames and things like that. But then I realized that it was my father bringing up things about me, like that he may have seen since he passed away. So, and this also about the wizard. You know, he's being very funny. Okay, so the wizard comes out from behind the curtain. It was him all along. You were the apple of his eye, twin peaks. The emperor in the space between them. So I'm seeing the emperor in this card sits between two mountains. Okay, he's the space between the mountains. In green ski boots, and I see this all the time with this emperor card. And then I realized, this is where I realized it was my father. Oh my God. The green ski boots in the card are the shoes covered with surgical dressing, green booties, surgical cap. He's got like a nut cap on his head. It's a surgical cap. And then I was getting, and the 9 of cups was coming up with this, because I put them out in a certain position, so they're all showing. And I was getting the emperor with the 9 of cups, and and the 4 of pentacles was in there as well. But here I was getting in the 9 of cups, he's wearing a hat too. It's like a beret, and my father was born in France. So he was showing me all these things to prove that it was him. And then the COS came up for COS, which was my dad's nickname from my mother. Nobody called him that except for my mother. A message. And the emperor here has a white beard, which my dad did, and then I was getting his laugh with the surgical cap and the, they had to cover their shoes in surgery, so they had to put stuff over their shoes as well. But that's what I was getting, the greens. He is with divine masculine as we speak, he was telling me. Calm strength, seemingly unaffected, but inspired inside, which is what my dad was showing me, how he was, is how your divine masculine may come off. All right. So, then he was showing me the 9 of cups were 99 bottles of beer on the wall. My dad wasn't a drinker, but he loved to try different beers. And when I went to visit his home before he passed away, I had never been to France, so I went to Paris to see his home with my kids before he passed away, so I could actually talk to him about his home. And I'm blanking out on the name of his street. Something Rue Boulevard. Oh, shoot. But anyway, the address was 88. And the address of his home where he grew up, on the street that we went to visit, now has a cafe at the bottom, which translates to, oh shoot, was it? It's like a cafe of beer, right? So they have every beer, that kind of thing. So it was perfect because it wasn't there when my dad was there, and now there's like a tribute to my father of every beer that he could choose from. And when I went to this cafe, I took a caricature picture of my father that someone had written an article about my dad when he won the gold medal for interventional radiology, and someone had done a caricature of my dad. So I had printed out a couple pictures of this caricature because I wanted to take them with me to France. And I actually framed one, and I was going to give it to the owner of this cafe because my father grew up there. I wanted to have him have that picture of it. And I was so excited when I went to this cafe that the owner was actually there, and he spoke English, and he was very happy to receive it. So my dad was telling me that he's saying thank you for this display. 99 bottles of beer on the wall. 88 sits his picture on display. And then nuts, he loved cracking nuts. Like I always remembered him and walnuts because I could see him with a nutcracker cracking. And then he was telling me, no, he's a ball buster too. And it was just 4444. So he likes that I'm talking about him. Thank you for my award. The coin floating. And sorry if it makes me cry, but I always see this coin floating, and usually in the message from the cards it's all about, you know, someone who's all about money, they have money on the brain. But it was showing me the coin floating, and I was first looking like diamond cases in glass. So I looked online to see coins floating, to see if there was something else, because he gave me one of those glass crystal window things, you know, you hang them in the window, that have flowers or dried flowers or whatever in them, and he had given me something with dried flowers that's sitting in my front window right now in a diamond shape, which is the way that the cases come up online. The coins are cased in a diamond shape. So he was showing me that, thank you for displaying what I've given you. His with flowers in my front window on display. And then when I looked up the coins online, the first one said Germany. I'm thinking it may have even been from Germany, because he used to bring me home things from his trips. His awards. And then I realized, oh my God, it's not that he was talking about. It's literally his floating coin. This is his gold medal award from his work. He was thanking me from keeping his things, because nobody else wanted his stuff except for me. His awards, his floating coin from 1973 is when SIR is the organization who gave it to him, started, but 1973 comes up again in the read, so I wanted to let you know that. But it was his gold medal from 1999, which also comes up again, so 1999 is also significant here. So I took a picture of that. When I realized this, I just set it on my pillow next to me, and then I realized the pillow that it was, it's going to make me cry again, because I started crying when I realized how all of these messages were coming in from my dad. I took the picture of this floating coin on my pillow with gathers on it, which just came up. But not only that, I made these pillows, and there's 4 of them, because I made 2 for myself, and then I wanted to make 2 more for my mom and dad when they were still alive. But I didn't have enough fringe to make the 4th one with fringe, so I made it gathered with you know, the trim around the pillow was gathered instead of just fringe trim. So the picture was on was the one that was different. It was for him. And it was paralleling the gathers that I just brought up, that I made for him and my mom. That his was the one with gathers. And I might have even given the one with gathers to my mom, but he's saying, no, that was mine, because it was different. The others were all fringe. He likes the picture. He's telling me that he likes the picture. This is what I'm getting from the cards. He likes the picture of my son and my daughter board as bookends at the Louvre on the 4th floor. I have a picture as we were climbing the stairs to the 4th floor. There's these long benches up there, and they were both tired because we were climbing a lot of stairs, so they're sitting on opposite ends looking like bored out of their mind. And I took a picture of them, and my dad's telling me that he liked that picture. That it was at the Louvre going to the 4th floor. It was a special bench for him, walking like an Egyptian. And then I'm like, what's he talking about? Like, that's nothing. He was, well, I have a picture of my children in glass, like the floating coin, next to a glass frame of my dad, of my daughter and my son walking across the street like the Beatles did, like an Egyptian. Okay? But you know what I'm talking about, like, here we come walking down the street. It was my son and daughter doing that across the street at Penn State, actually. But he's saying that he likes, and I never think of these things because they're just there, I don't look at them. He likes the picture of them at the bookends at the Louvre, going to the 4th floor, special bond for him, and then walking like an Egyptian when Matthew's, and also when he's in a suit and tie, he's saying to my son, so elegant when you're in a suit and tie, and then to my daughter in her green gown, a princess, but the guy you were with was a frog. He's saying you can do better than that to my daughter. And he's very opinionated that way, which was funny. He likes the Nike sandals that she used to wear, you know, the ones with the stripes that have just the thick piece on the top. That's the sandal. I forget what they're called. But he was showing me that he likes bronze and black, or yellow or beige and black, as opposed to the white and black ones. And then he was saying thank you also for the gargoyle out front, because I have their gargoyle sitting right outside my door, and also the 3 monkeys, that I have 3 monkeys sitting in front of his picture by the front door. He's showing me all this by the cards. And the blanket that you made me that kept me warm when they never gave me enough blankets at the Alzheimer's facility to keep me warm. And the blanket I made him had pictures of all of the kids and stuff. And he's saying, and the nice memories associated with that. So he's thanking me for these things, because they weren't things that he would normally say, make a big deal out of, because he didn't care about a blanket or something like that. And the coat that I made, so when I was in fashion design, I made a coat. It wasn't then, I made it at home, but he's saying that it reminds him of Shakespeare days, Romeo and Juliet with the bell sleeves and the pleating on the dress I made, the pink one. Oy vey, he says. So these were all messages from my dad, and so now like there's tears running down my face because my dad's giving me message after message after message. And then he was saying, Swiss Family Robinson, see you in the mountains. No worries, the coin will always be there. My compliments. Yes. There will be more. Of course, magnetic connection from stomach to intestines. Idea from your missing inferior mesenteric artery to grow new connection, new tributaries and collaterals, new waterways in lymphatic system, which is what my dad was working on before he left, and somebody else, one of the guys that he learned from, has taken it to new heights now. But he's telling me to give, there's a certain message here that I need to give to some of the doctors he used to work with, because they'll understand and be able to expand even more. But he's saying that one of the ideas he got, because I had digestive issues when I was little, and then I found in my baby book that I had C. diff when I was an infant, and then when I had an MRI, one of the findings on the MRI was they said they couldn't appreciate the inferior mesenteric artery, which is a major feeder to your intestines, which it may have been knocked off from the C. diff I had as an infant, which may have been why I had so many stomach issues over the years. So after he's telling me this, so there's something else he had invented before he retired, but it takes a long time for the companies to bring anything to market. But this last one had to do with magnets and the twins, right, and magnetic attraction. So he's bringing that in here to tell us from the base that there may have been something that he got because of my missing inferior mesenteric artery that he used to do, and the procedure that he used to do all the time. From the base, the platform, through the desert to the mountain peaks. And then I was getting boobs as well, right? Because when you're doing someone's body, those would be the mountain peaks, right? When he would do his lymphatic procedure, he'd start at the toes and work his way all the way up to the thoracic duct, which is at the boobs. So he's giving me technical directions. So it's that line, the line of the boob or the nipple line to the hip. Start right foot, top, laterally, lymph waterway. That this doctor will remember something that he had said to him. And then I was getting a message from, there was a doctor who died. He was just an amazing person. His name was John Pryor. He had served in the military as well, and that's where he died. He left 3 small children behind, and I had the honor of working with him on one of my research projects. But my father he was coming in as my father was giving me these messages as Green Beret, but he's not a Green Beret that I knew of, because he was a medical surgeon. But it was my father, because he's French, tipping his surgical hat, his Green Beret, to, maybe you want to cry, to John Pryor. He's calling it a surgeon's salute. And he said to tell Scott Price hello. And then I was getting stuff about John Pryor, but I wasn't sure if it was related or not, or if he was just trying to get me another message. And again, when I looked up John Pryor, he started at Penn in 1999, so that came up again. And he was in Buffalo before he came there, and then I was getting Buffalo Bill, and that was from the Military Times, that he was from Buffalo. And the article was talking about how heartbroken he would be in dealing with the dead children, you know, when he would be on military duty. And I think that he wanted me to reach out. In the article, it said that his family church was Our Lady of Good Counsel in Morristown, New Jersey. To reach out to his father, Richard. And I didn't get his father's name. I was getting a Richard Pryor that wasn't him. And then when I looked up who he left behind, his father's name was Richard Pryor. Was Richard Pryor as well. But I think because of how heartbroken he was, seeing children get hurt, he wanted to give a message to his father that he's okay. It said that he was survived by both his father and his brother were Richard. So if anyone sees this around that area, if you could tell them. And then I was getting, in this card, the King of Cups has an eye next on his throne, like one with a dot above it, like the Olympic torch. And then it's going on to a whole nother thing about, so, you know, here are these great men, okay, my father and Dr. John Pryor, and Spirit was saying, where are their monuments? Where is their Olympic torch? Someone got goosed by their cubs, right? The ones who learned from them, their students. And it's my dad being funny saying they're dead ducks. Okay. So it's really funny because my father, you know, he really could care less about getting awards, but he's saying, it's going on to another message coming up here, but where have all the flowers gone? Long time passing. I don't know if I remember the words. Where have all the flowers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the flowers? Everyone. I can't even think of the name, and it's important, those last lyrics, so look them up. It's important. Where have all the good men gone, okay? They're the ones who've been protecting you and taking care of you. So the Roman emperor in sandals and sitting on a bag of cash, twiddling his thumbs, Blue Blood, Scrooge, and some of the divine masculines might be coming up this way. The Romans, but because the Romans will steal from him, okay? Buried treasure right below his feet in the countryside, below the dirt, you know, in the old days where they used to bury their money to keep it safe. No grass, just in a dirt area. So this is a message for someone. Blue, red, and gold coins. The Queen of Cups reversed, crying, Maeve crying from my dad's visit. But Queen of Cups reversed was coming up, so this is coming up as the Divine Feminine, not necessarily negative or manipulative, but just purging or crying. Sharing left money block, the Three of the Trinity, with offer from the Knight of Pentacles to help using synchronicities to guide them. All right, so it's showing that both the masculine and feminine are going to have the same blocks because they're reflecting each other. The Knight of Wands on the mountaintop in France. The King of Cups, Swiss Family Robinson was coming up here. And then I was getting Courmayeur, because that's where the Swiss, French, and Italian Alps all come together. There's just there was an Olympics there, a Winter Olympics there. So this King of Wands, I'm sorry, not the King of Wands, the Knight of Wands is on the mountaintop, because the King of Wands was coming up as the devil mark, with a mark on his head, okay? But the mark name was coming up This is the Knight of Wands. On the mountaintop in France, the King of Cups. Swiss family Robinson, Courmayeur, where the Swiss, French, Italian Alps meet. The Knight of Wands. And then was coming up, 88, the home or the birthplace of my dad. The masculine may be moving home to their father's house or going to visit to find out why his mother, the Queen of Cups, reversed now. Why she's so upset all the time. What is the true story between them before it's too late? The story of the Empress and the Emperor. To become happy on his own. To become the man the Divine Feminine deserves. So he wants to know his story, her story, and then the truth, right? There's always three sides to the story. So then the story of Don Juan was coming up here, but I was getting an Oriental Don Juan. Always working. Work shoes, even on the beach. Had many options and drank at the bar, but always put the brakes on when near any pyramids or triangulations. Third-party situations, and then I was getting Egyptians coming up. He just liked the attention, but was always a loving man. And then the card was coming up, release your ex, which is really, you know, clear your energies. It's not just about releasing your ex, but clearing the energies. And it was just 010101 and 010111. So release your ex came up for the read, for the union read, as well as below that was pay attention to the red flags. The love was always there, the homework connection, but she liked his tail, always tackling the bore. She was calling him a bore about Psalms on Sunday. So someone was always trying to push them to go to church. So this could be definitely a masculine going to their parents or a feminine going to their parents. It could literally be about the divine masculine's dynamic with his current karmic, who may be like his mother. Okay, so getting his butt in line, flexing her muscles. She was a thorn in his side, which is reflecting the expansion of it. But inflaming the right elbow, same as the inflamed right knee, the anger that it caused, the farther out from the trunk of the tree, the more sensitive the leaves became, falling farther and farther from the tree. And it was just 10222. It was 222, okay? So burdened by mirroring his fantasies of old girlfriend or the way things used to be, as the leaves fall and clothes left on the floor or hanging on the chair, she gets the fruit of his labor. She gets to smash his heart while calling him the heel. How could her dainty big toe hurt his big unfeeling heart? Always putting natural things in front of his cute baby knees and legs to trip up the baby, triggering him to anger. While she said she had to put up with his clothes on the chair, food on the floor, and all the young birds around him admiring him, longing for the way things used to be, the way we were. And then the way we were, my friend had brought that movie up when she actually called me. And when I looked it up just for some quick stuff online, from imdb.com, one of the descriptions of the way we were was when things mattered and we cared. So the falls of yesteryear and Hubble, opposites at wartime, memories light the corners of my mind, misty waters color memories of the way we were. And this was from 1973, which I told you came up earlier. So 1973 and 1999 came up, and realized that they were bringing up, not only were they opposites, her and Hubble, but that this was at wartime. All right, and this is the stuff that we're clearing and what the karmic relationship is based on. All right, so then I turned the page and it's 314, or pi, the space between the words, the integration of the masculine and feminine within. Memories are always different than the actual experience. And so pi came up with the time, thorn, the catalyst to expand the moment. Makes it more, so when you expand in the moment, it makes it more at the time. So you see it like as this big deal, like when you first meet someone. So then you become more, but now it's no longer more because now you're equal to that vibration. So unless you both expand together, and bring separate experiences to share without secrets, secrets being ego, then you grow apart, right? And the leaf grows farther from the trunk of the tree. So this was coming up as the lesson from the way we were. And then the siren went off outside somewhere, and self-love came up as the underlying energy, which is 61, which is risk-taking. That's that 7 of Swords. It's a risk to love yourself. And then underneath that was self-discipline. You need self-discipline to love yourself, which is 41, the Ace of Cups. And then, like I said, I got the siren outside, and then I was getting screen siren, Marilyn Monroe. It takes self-discipline to love oneself. Leaning over balcony or out window, Romeo and Juliet comes up here as the Knight of Swords, or the knight in shining armor has drawn Excalibur of truth and quickly rides in to rescue. And winds start blowing like crazy at that time as the Knight of Swords is running in to rescue. The damsel in distress, the Queen of Cups reversed, and the Queen of Pentacles reversed. Two cups feeding one. Too much for him to take, so what does he choose? The domino effect. When there are 3 friends, one always feels left out. Even in the best of intentions, 3 is a crowd. Cinderella and her stepsisters creates lots of jealousy for the prettier one. The fair maiden, the one with money. If you take away money and looks, what are you left with? Personality, of course. The soul imprint, the only thing that matters and is long and lasting, of course. The Queen of Pentacles reversed only thinks about expensive lace and silk curtains, emeralds, and showing off peacock feathers at balls and staring you down, right? And maybe want to take you down, which you might like, right? Which is very much a 3D way, right? But the fair maiden, more delicate, more insecure, but from royal lineage, and is green and psychic and cares about things and sees the distance, yet able to remain present. So lace and cup, or barbershop quartet and gold. Rubies or emeralds, both beautiful but different. Apples and oranges. So friends say, have a party and invite the red one, the green one, and a blue one, just in case, to see who shines above the others. When all his choices have looks and money, so the very rich, the soul must rise to the top. So this is another wound coming up from the very wealthy. So in order to find out who he likes, he doesn't, because all the choices look good on the outside because they all have looks and money. But what's really going to be good for him? He's got to look at the personality. So then in competition, you're talking about bringing 3 people to compete with each other for the prize. The one that wins is actually the one who walks away to do their own thing, even if it means that no one at the party will like them. If he is that, says she, then he can have them. I am me, and that's that. You either love me for me or you don't. If you loved you, you wouldn't have to ask your so-called friends which one to pick. The Emperor and Empress decide to have a party for the King of Cups and his achievements, to release the ex, remember the past, and to love yourself first. So recently, a family soiree to give the masculine a choice of 3 selections, the cream of the crop. And by the way, the underlying energy signs came up as Taurus, Aries, Pisces, Libra, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Leo. Those were the only ones in the underlying energy. The only ones I know which direction they were Pisces and Aquarius. They were both upright. So in a split and final judgments, so there may have been masculines who have split in a relationship or a divorce or a partnership at work, saved by his calling to the Red Cross in a divorce or injustice in court. And then I was getting, just like John Pryor, the doctor that I told you about, who was also in the military, he pulls his sword from the stone and says, where is my tribute? A mother's favorite, a father's favorite. Of 3, who gets top billing? The family man or the famous man? For everyone that shines, there were always 2 or more supporting them. The old and the strong and the wise, let the young shine because they're full of pride. If truly happy person, you really don't need attention from others. You can entertain yourself. And then I immediately thought of my Uncle David, who's like 90 something already and just does his own. He still shows up at family functions like out of nowhere, and we don't know how he's driving still. But he's still doing his own thing. And he's a genius, and he's not, he's not typical. So it's not like he's going to get along with everyone out there, but it didn't matter because he's always been fine with him. And my son's very much like that too. One's happiness with self triggers jealousy in others. What do they have that I don't? It's not confidence per se, it's self-love. No need to prove anything, you just are. The foundation of the read for the union is just as is. Ascension, wholeness, completeness. A bold move to release self from imprisoning thoughts. Tell your truth no matter what. Two parents, the emperor and the empress. So it's a specific message to the masculine especially. And then a school bus passes going south really fast at 55, which is tell the truth, like a schoolboy to their parents. It was just 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, whatever. So 55 is about the truth. Nothing but the truth, so help me God, right? And if you tell them the truth and they don't like it, tough. And I was totally getting my dad saying that, all right? So tough, that's their problem, not yours. So then I was getting centrally, and the central issue for the union of central energy was expansion. And then another bus came going the same direction. So I swear it was another bus, so like a timeline shift. But now the bus was slower. The first one came down really aggressively, but this bus was going south again, but slower this time. And then I was getting softly, slowly, hold me closer, tiny dancer, right? So I was getting Tiny Dancer coming up. And I was getting Superfly as well. SoFly and Superfly. And then I was getting to bring up Bernie Taupin from Elton John, because Elton John always gets the credit, and I'm giving props to Bernie Taupin, okay? He's the lyricist for Elton John. The fool is free to fly, fly away, bye-bye. Opening heart to all burdens. Hard day's work is uninspiring. Impatience will be the death of us for the union. Sudden death of a fallen angel. The 5D world is too risky for the family man. So that movie is coming up, The Family Man. The challenge being Luna, the moon, the dark ocean waters at night, when the feminine reflects her masculine's light. Good fortune, luck, destiny. Without the sun. And then I was getting Man on the Run, or Band on the Run. Okay? Who takes down others before they can get him? To be in your truth is not to destroy someone else's town in the wake of your destruction. Okay? Because in the song Band on the Run, they just every town they go in, they have a great time, but they destroy the town that they're in. So it was bringing up that for a reason. That the man who takes others down before they can get him is not the same as standing in your truth. Because someone just standing in your truth, you're not going to be hurting others purposely. The family man is working on juggling obligations and juggling 3D and his 5D worlds for the divine masculine. The masculine holds a rosary of his divine feminine. The King of Cups prize, his greatest reward, is the silver cup with pink flower or rose quartz or some other stone inside in a display case or window. How one presents themselves to the world. Honoring the fallen and the Empress with red boots and the Knight of Cups who loved them all. And then I was getting Julio Iglesias for all the women he loved, and Don Juan. Crowning the union is risk-taking and passing on downloads. All right, so I was getting for the masculine, it's like an ode to all the women he loved, because that will happen no more, that he only loves one. And then the signs for the whole read came up. All of the signs came up except for Capricorn, which I'm sure it came through in a minor way with the minor cards. But all signs came up. Sagittarius was reversed, Scorpio upright, Cancer upright, Pisces both ways. And again, if it's both ways, it's one person showing negative and positive, or it's two separate people. Aries upright, Virgo reversed, Libra upright, Leo reversed, Gemini upright, Aquarius not sure, could be neutral, and then Taurus reversed. So at 4:14, I turn the page. Implementing, starting over in love. The Queen of Swords is well rested, expanding to the world, opening heart and joy. Needing rest to express feelings after having over-isolated in pain for the feminine. The family man is all business and separated from the one he loves. The King of Wands is holding back his money from family business and or inheritance to get the masculine to work more, work harder. But it's not working, it's breaking him, and his guilt for betraying the one that he loves. Having a discussion at the gate with the Empress in the red boots, the harsh truth that he's taking his love to the angel to dance the dance he's been avoiding, his wounded warrior, his Mary Magdalene. Soon hanging man needs courage, the red badge of courage, to divorce and heal and or spiritually forgive and just walk away from all the conflict and the fighting. If every voice were still, the noise would still continue. The rocks and stones themselves would start to sing. And that was from Hosanna, Hosanna, Superstar, from Jesus Christ Superstar. There's an announcement, possibly by the sovereign, an offer of new life from the high priestess or secret, the soulmate twin. All the excuses are just BS to stay hiding in pain. Because, of course, all addictions are pain. It's all fear and pain, no matter what the title is. They're all the same. The union is seen as the Six of Cups here for both the masculine and feminine. The two kids in the garden in this card. In this deck, this is how the union is seeing itself. Okay? And again, I saw two babies in a bassinet this morning staring at each other. The Queen of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles come together to recover at night. Okay, that could be you both in your feminine, or it could be you and another twin friend. Okay, but it's coming up as the Queen of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles coming together to recover at night. Getting to know each other are the romance angel cards that came up for the union. Getting to know each other, trust, true love. This is a romance of a lifetime again, and give your relationship a chance. Around your union is the Four of Chalices. Mastering the North Star. The two cups are on reserve for you. Choosing path left with World in the right hand, the High Priestess or Secret, as the Knight of Cups trots in and bows. Maybe crying due to the insecurities or no tools on how to do this right in his DNA. Clear blocks of sovereign for the union, both the masculine and the feminine. Clear any blocks you have of being a sovereign or dealing with a sovereign, holding on loosely in order to ground, but not expressing feelings, meaning she's weak or without power or not independent, because that's just not true. That you may see them as being defenseless or being in victim mentality if they don't react to you. But you need to let go of those preconceived notions. Rather allowing others their feelings, rather than allowing others to hurt their feelings, right, to be triggered or go into the victim mentality, the Divine Feminine just doesn't care or have time for that now. Okay? So rather than allowing others So instead of the victim mentality, they're allowing others their feelings, but honestly, she doesn't care or have time for that. Okay, that's their trigger, not hers. So then effort and compassion, like I said, came up for the numerology deck cards for the union, but even more so, it was just about love. Hold on loosely, but don't let go. If you cling too tightly, you're going to lose control. And that's from 38 Special. And 38 is the Queen of Cups. If you get triggered by what I say, good. It's time to clear it away. Which is 44. 11944. So the Magician, the Sun, and the 44 of Mastery. The Three of Swords comes up at the end here. Third party heartbreak, pulling the King of Swords heartstrings to make the effort to be compassionate. The masculine's present to only one flame now, tired of leaning on the truth, the feminine, with no masculine to show for it. Presently over the loss and self-love, but still feeling incomplete. And then a car race north at 37, which is the King of Cups. The Empress reverse has been avoiding a message, and this could be a mother or karmic. It could be the feminine, depending on your situation. But I was getting it as like a mother or karmic who didn't take your messages to the masculine. And now they are, possibly. To clarify the situation of the angel wounded warrior riding in passionately as sovereign, as being independent. That the mother or karmic lied to him or didn't give him a message from higher self, which is the divine feminine, from higher self to him, needing attention and giving up battle and feeling a failure. The King of Pentacles gives affection to the King of Swords to help him find happiness and fulfillment. So it looks like whoever the masculine was close with, whether it was a brother or partner, whoever was trying to take him down, or there may be multiple partners because the King of Wands was coming up, and now the King of Pentacles is coming up here. So it could be a father, friend, brother, partner, whatever, but it's coming up as someone who lost to him, but is now, after having conceded the battle, the King of Pentacles now gives affection to the King of Swords, the divine masculine, in order to help him find his happiness, his emotional fulfillment. So something that happened. The Empress and the Emperor ascend to the Six of Cups, the children. So it could be the masculine and the feminine ascending to their inner children and mastering their emotional fulfillment. Or it could be the Empress and the Emperor ascending or giving the world to their children. So your parents giving the world to you, giving you your wishes of emotional fulfillment by expanding at night, hanging out alone, and passing on downloads to one and only flame, to each other's higher self. Okay? And that ended at 444. And Sirens at 454 came on. All right, I'm going to stop because we're really late. I'll do a separate one where I actually have sand art to do too. So if I have the energy and time to get it out, I'll do the sand art along with the oracle cards. And it's just 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. Okay. So I'll show you the cards really quick. Okay, that's the read. And drink your water, take care of yourself, make sure you get some rest, and rise and be loved. Bye, guys.